So I will go ahead and get started. Um, cool. Thank you, Courtney, for being here. This is our creative conversation series. And today we're talking with Courtney Christensen from ScrapsKC. And a cat just decided to join me. Sorry. And I'm super excited to learn more about ScrapsKC. I've been a couple times to buy supplies for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people have as well. So do you want to just start off, Courtney, by introducing yourself and kind of telling us what your background is and how you got to the position you're in?
Yeah, so my name is Courtney Christensen. I'm the Director of Community Engagement at ScrapsKC. We are a relatively new nonprofit in the Kansas City area. We've been around for 5 years. And my background is really varied, but I found Scraps because my kids came to a birthday party there. And then we came in, I was always buying school supplies and art supplies for them. And then started volunteering, which then led to me working here, which is awesome. So we are a nonprofit creative reuse center. Like I said, we started 5 years ago, and really our mission is threefold. Obviously, one is environmental, just to keep as much out of the landfill as possible that is still useful. And so we take all kinds of art and craft supplies, school and office supplies. Some of those come from area businesses, some come from individuals in the community, and then we clean it up, make sure it all works right, repackage it sometimes if it's messy, and then we sell that in our resale store. So anyone can donate, anyone can shop. We're in Midtown Kansas City, and we do that for a few different reasons. Like I mentioned, the environmental piece. We also really wanted to support teachers. We were founded by a former teacher. And so we do a big school supply drive all summer long, starting at the end of the school year, gather up those school supplies that people don't need anymore. And we give that all away to teachers that need it for their classrooms at the beginning of the school year. So education is kind of the second part of our mission. And the third part of our mission, why we actually started, is our homeless outreach. So our founders had been working with the homeless with their family for many years, and they were approached by one of them and asked for a job, and they couldn't necessarily give him a job, but she had kind of been thinking about how to start a creative reuse center in Kansas City. These exist all over the place. We're just the only one in Kansas City, and she had shopped at one when she was a teacher back on the East Coast, and thought, what if I started that place and gave our homeless friends a place to be purposeful during the day, give them a safe space to be in, they could help us run it, and then we give them things that they need to survive on the street in exchange. Yeah, so that's all three of those things were really close to my heart and I felt passionate about. So yeah, when this job came available, I just knew that this would be an organization that I wanted to work with.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. And I know you guys have like just not infinite, but a huge amount of items and like fabric and yarn and like bottle caps, like just anything you can think of. I think it was just super cool to see it in such quantities at one place.
Yeah.
And to know that it's gonna be reused for something. So related to your 3 goals and mission statements, do you do any programming related to homelessness, besides obviously allowing the homeless to come in and work? Do you do any programming for like kids, adults, that kind of thing?
We do lots of different types of programming. So we do a lot of scout workshops, which you can read about those on our website, but a lot of different, some are arts based, some are STEAM based, some are civic engagement based. And so we do workshops where we teach, and it could be a scout troop, it could be a family, it could be a book club, like we could do this for all ages, but we do it a lot of times for scouts, sometimes families, to just teach them things that we've learned over the years, helping folks that live on the street, and ways that we've found are some of the easiest ways to help someone. If you might see someone on the side of the street, these are things you can keep in your car. These are things that you can hand out easily. And then in that workshop, we make sock kits. So we use clean, new, dry socks to hold a bunch of different survival items in. It just depends on the season. So right now, when it's cold out, we'll do things like hand warmers and chapstick and tissues. Since the pandemic started, we've been including masks and hand sanitizer in those as well. But then in the spring and summer, we'll pass out things like Gatorade powder or rain ponchos, things like that. So we also do all kinds of field trips. We do professional development for teachers. We have adults that will come in and have a painting party and do their birthday here. So it kind of runs the gamut of the possibilities are endless because we have an endless resource of materials out there. So
Yeah,
it works great.
That's awesome. I think I saw during the beginning of the pandemic, I haven't been in a while. It's been probably since the beginning of 2021, but I saw that you guys were doing like take-home kits for kids. Is that something that started during the pandemic, or were you doing that before?
Yeah, so that did start during the pandemic. We stayed open for our homeless friends during the shutdown, but obviously our store wasn't open to the public. So during that time, it was a challenge because trying to get our in-house friends the things that they needed, they would come and kind of bring us their list of things they were looking for. And then if we had it, we would, give that out to them or take food out to them. They could eat in the parking lot. But in those early days, we just weren't gathering anyone indoors together, right? So we started an online store and did things like different STEAM kits. We make rubber band cars, and we still have that. You can buy an art box kit, so kind of a kid's art supplies, random assortment of things. We sell some of our fabric and yarn online. Then we have lots of, again, Scout specific Girl Scout kits that are for specific badges that they need to complete. But then we have other things like, create your own catapult or different little design engineering kits that we sell. And we have those in our store as well, but they are available online.
Cool. And those are still available now?
They are, yes. Yeah, cool. They're available online, and we've seen it's been really cool because we've had, especially during the pandemic, we shipped to I think 27 states in the country. Wow. Just people, sending things to cousins or finding out about us somehow through Girl Scouts or something else. So it's been a really fun way to connect with people all over, not just in Kansas City.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. So as far as volunteers, how can the community get involved other than donating?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different ways that people can get involved. We do take volunteers all the way down to age 3. We really believe in giving back to the community and teaching kids that. And so I know it's really hard when you have younger kids to find places where you can go volunteer together. And so we are a place where parents could bring kids in. Or I think at like 13, you can be here on your own as a volunteer. So we have lots of families that volunteer together. We have some older folks who maybe are retired and they'll come in a couple times a week and help us out. We have an amazing base of volunteers, and we've got lots of high school kids looking to get their service hours in. And there's just so much that you could do here. So I think that's helpful when people are volunteering. If you love fabric or yarn, textiles, you can volunteer in that section. If you love paint or, fine arts materials and that stuff, then that's always really helpful to us as donations come in to figure out what's what and get it priced and sorted and all of that. If you love to organize, we obviously have lots of sorting and organizing. We have a small scale recycling, plastic recycling initiative. And so some people come in and they just volunteer in the plastics and they help us make those products. there's kind of something for everyone. And so even for little kids, every pen or marker that comes in that's donated gets tested. And so they can test markers, or they can help, sort lids, milk lids by color and things like that. So lots of different ways you can volunteer. And then obviously there is donating materials. We keep a pretty updated list on our website of what we are taking and what we're not. We also have some recycling options through a company called TerraCycle. They're based in New Jersey, and their goal is to recycle hard to recycle items.
Okay.
And so we are approved for certain programs with them. So things that you would otherwise throw in the landfill, you can bring to Scraps, and it helps us and it keeps it out of the landfill. So things like old phone cases, we can take personal care items like empty toothpaste tubes, old toothbrushes, old non-electric razors or razor cartridges. Just can't be anything that would have a battery or electric component in it. Any used up writing utensils, so broken pencils, dried up markers, highlighters, those kinds of things we can recycle. And we just got approved for food pouches, so like little applesauce or baby food pouches, we can actually recycle those now. So that's a really easy way that you could also get engaged and help out, would just be to save those things. And we have that list on our website as well. We've got a little printable poster that you can print out to help you remember what we can take and what we can't.
Yeah.
And then we have some people that maybe they don't ever come in. Maybe they live far away, or they only come a few times a year, but they'll do things like host a fundraiser on Facebook for their birthday for us. And we always really appreciate that kind of thing too.
Yeah. Awesome. Sounds really fun. I like the organizing part. I wouldn't say I'm a very I am organized. I'm not very clean with my own stuff. Like, I'm pretty messy, but I love organizing other people's things.
It's very satisfying to take a box of things and figure out where everything goes. And our intake manager does an amazing job of keeping everything so kind of streamlined over there that it becomes really fun to be able to get it all organized and see everything all nice and neat at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And color, organizing things by color, just I love it.
Absolutely.
This is kind of a random question, but for my own curiosity, what is the weirdest or coolest thing that you've seen donated before?
There are a lot, and we've actually talked about we should start documenting these. I think it would make an amazing coffee table book.
It would.
We've gotten some very strange, not suitable for work games donated before, which was interesting. Old pictures. Right now I'm looking out my window at a roll of cat vinyl, it's a vinyl fabric that's just cat faces all over it, which is hilarious. We'll get really intricate, beautiful masks, hand carved masks donated. Last year we had someone whose mom had owned a yarn store passed away, and they brought us a ton of yarn, which was amazing. But also in her store, she had hand knit all these samples, these beautiful sweaters, and it was a full hand knit suit essentially. And they gave them to us because they were I know that you'll take care of it, and you'll it won't get discarded. And we were but don't you want these? And they were no, I have all the clothes that my mom knit me that are to me. These were just in her store. They don't mean anything to me. So things like that are just really special to see those donations come in. Old paintings that are amazing. I bought my kids an accordion one time here.
Wow.
You never know. It's a different store every time you walk in. You never know what's going to come in, and that's part of the fun of the day here.
Yeah, it's definitely a store you have to return to, because you never know what you're going to find.
So true.
I've been a few times, and one of my favorite things is to look at the National Geographics that you guys have. So I do some collage work, and the National Geographic magazines are the perfect images to cut out.
Yeah.
So, but so speaking of fabric, so first, I just want to say that a little connection between us is that at the Arts and Heritage Center, Ryan Bell, who's the fine arts coordinator, set up a fabric donation spot.
Yeah.
And so it sounded like a lot of people came in and donated fabric, which is awesome. But do you want to talk about your fabric recycling program and kind of the scope of it and what you guys do with all that fabric?
Yeah. We didn't ever intend that textiles would become our largest department, but it has, which is amazing. And we have this team of women and a few men who come in every week and help us sort it all, and they're amazing. It's so much. We get so much fabric in, which is awesome. Really, textile waste is one of the largest categories of waste, and most people, it doesn't get recycled. Like a lot of textiles don't get recycled. They just go straight to the landfill. I think it's 85% of all textiles end up in the landfill. So there's all this fabric out there that is gorgeous and really well made vintage fabric, and a lot of it has been sitting in someone's basement for 10 years or and so we love that so many people trust us to bring that stuff to us, because usually it does have sentimental value to them. But we have this awesome team of people. They sort it all. So we have home deck fabric, we have apparel fabric, and then we have quilting fabric. It all gets sorted, it all gets measured and rolled, and it gets looked over for stains or any blemishes, holes, or anything like that. And then we resell it in our store. So right now we have, and then we also get like scraps from some businesses around town. There's a couple leather businesses that give us their leather scraps. So that might be like thinner leather, like that would go on a journal cover, or thicker leather that would be like for a coaster, or belting leather. And then there's a company that makes wool koozies. And it's really nice, beautiful German wool that they buy and make these koozies out of, and they bring us kind of all their offcuts. So we have all these really cute little pieces of brightly colored wool that are beautiful, and I've seen people make some really awesome stuff out of them. So right now we can take any size quilting fabric, even little scraps. Everything else, we do ask that it be half a yard or more, currently. And then we have all sorts of notions and buttons and zippers and yarn as well. We're working on an initiative, and I'm really excited to have some news to share soon in the next couple of months, to allow us to take smaller bits of that fabric. But right now we're asking for half a yard or more. And then, like I said, home deck, apparel, quilting, it doesn't really matter. We take all of that. We take notions. And then we're working on developing out partnerships with other organizations that maybe produce smaller scraps than we're able to take, and figuring out what we could do with that. So there is kind of a group of people meeting and chatting about textile sustainability in Kansas City, and what can we do with that. So things like looking at, could we find someone that would compost these natural fibers, and different innovations that are happening in the textile industry. So it's all really exciting, and hopefully I'll have lots of fun news to share on that front in the coming months.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as the director of communication, is that your job to talk with other organizations, or is that kind of just overall everybody is in on it?
Primarily my job, figuring out what community partnerships we can handle, and what does that look like with schools or other nonprofits, businesses. But then we have other people, so like our volunteer coordinator, if a business or a group wanted to come in, she would handle that. Or if there's an organization that had a lot of donations, we do have a donations allocator that would go out and pick that up and coordinate that with them. So we're still small enough that it's kind of everyone, but it's primarily me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I get that. Where the ACJC is a staff of like 2.5, so, or 1.5.
Yeah.
I'm the half, but anyway,
I love
we get it.
Yes.
So is there anything else that you want to talk about program wise or information about the organization? Anything that we haven't touched on yet that you've got on your side?
Yeah, I'd love to plug. So we are working on, especially during the pandemic, and the last year has been very strange for kids in school, especially. We're trying to build out resources for teachers, for families, just looking to engage their kids in hands-on learning. And so we do have a YouTube channel that has some videos on it with fun activity ideas. We also have a Pinterest that we've built out of we've got boards for different age groups. So if you're looking like, what do I do with a 3-year-old, you could look there, or we have boards built out by material. So if it's like, I want to make something with cardboard tubes, or I want to make something with CD cases or whatever, then you could look there too. So I think that's always like a great resource I love to point people to. And then we have always done our school supply drive that I mentioned before. Obviously that was a little different the last 2 years. In 2020, no one knew that school was over
Right.
when it was over in March, and we just stayed virtual. So that is typically when we try to capture supplies to then clean up and hand out. So that year we ended up getting some grant money to purchase supplies to give to teachers. And then it was a little bit different this last year as well. So we're really trying to build out and kind of re-engage that program. So we do have a Google form on our website. We have a whole digital package for any school that is, if you see kids throwing stuff away at the end of the year that someone could still use, we've got a whole package on here's how we do it. Here's the easiest way. We're happy to send that out and talk to people, and we're really looking for schools that want to partner with us to help capture supplies, and then teachers obviously that want to sign up to receive supplies at the end of the summer. So if you're a school that wants to capture supplies at the end of the year, we have a Google form on our website that I would love anyone that can fill that out, and they'll get all the information that they need at the end of the year, and we'll coordinate with them. And then teachers that are looking to receive supplies, go to our Facebook page and follow us, because that is the place where we're going to post that sign up first, is on Facebook. So I always like to mention those things.
Cool. Those are awesome resources. Yeah. Anything else before I ask the final question?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. So this may be kind of an obscure question, but what does the future of ScrapsKC look like? Like where do you guys envision yourselves going or being?
Yeah, that's a great question. In some ways, I feel like it's dictated by the community. Like we have become what we are because artists and makers have just really gotten behind us and supported us and started donating. And, when we started, our founder started just asking businesses for offcuts and collecting whatever she could. And we were selling things like egg cartons and, little like grocery store clamshells and things. And then the art community in Kansas City, the whole metro area, really got behind us and started donating their extra supplies and started shopping here. And it really changed the game for us. And so in some ways it's up to the community where we go. We didn't think that textiles would become the big part of our space that it is, but that's kind of how the community has dictated it. And we're, in some ways, I think we're just along for the ride. I think of scraps as kind of the room of requirement of Kansas City. There are so many times that I have needed something and I've said, hey, if this happens to come in, let me know. And like within 3 days it shows up, and it's kind of crazy the way that it works like that.
Manifesting.
But it's really funny. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, it'll be whatever we all make it together, I guess.
That's cool. I love that flexibility and the willingness to adapt to the community. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we we want to be a resource to the community. We want to add value to the city. And so whatever that looks like, we're happy to be here and to keep doing it.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I'm trying to think of other questions. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? It's okay if not.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, we do have once a quarter we do a free community workshop. So we do have a free community workshop coming up in March. We're going to be making fairy gardens from repurposed materials. So that you can find on our social media the sign up for it. It is free, but you do have to sign up for a ticket to get a reservation. So yeah, just come see us, come explore. We'd love to show you around, and we've got other events coming up. We have different artists that teach classes intermittently. And so we've got in April, we've got like an intuitive art collage class happening. We're doing paper making. So lots of fun stuff happening here. So yeah, come check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks so
for
much for
taking the
having me.
time. Yeah, I need to get down there again and see all the cool things that you guys have now.
Yes. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yes. So I will plan a trip, and everybody else should visit as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Courtney. And I'll let you get back to your afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.